Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. It's 7 degrees in the Missouri Ozarks right now. You guys up north are going, why is he wearing a coat? You guys down south are going, it's cold here too. It got cold this week over much of the U.S. Today we're going to talk about 5 things that you could do wrong when shopping for a tractor, when buying a new tractor. I know you guys are shopping for tractors because I'm getting a lot of questions online about what tractor do I buy? Do I buy this model or this model, and so on. And I always try to help folks out. Had one letter this week, and I'm not going to read it because I don't want to embarrass the customer, that really had all 5 of these things wrong that you can do badly in the shopping process. And I kind of wanted to go over them today so you don't get into trouble. The letter went something like, I'm moving out to the country. It was really a pretty small area, like 10 acres or 12 acres to brush hog. I'm thinking about buying a subcompact tractor, thinking about a cab, want a 5-foot cutter. I want to know what brand of cutter do you, Tractor Mike, recommend? And I want to get this done. And 5 things I see wrong here, and we're going to go over each one of them. And the first one is, I see a lot of folks that are shopping for too small a tractor. The reason I know this viewer is looking for too small a tractors, 2 things. Number 1, if you're thinking about a cab, understand that a cab takes about 5 to 10 horsepower to power the air conditioner. So if you're out brush hogging in the summer, you may run out of power going up a hill cutting a full swath. And number 2 thing about cabs is I don't know any subcompact tractor. I'm sure somebody will come up with one someday because they're popular, but I don't know anybody has a subcompact tractor with a cab from the factory. Number 1 issue I see here is I think we need to jump up to at least a 28, 30, 35 horsepower tractor. 40 horsepower would probably be better. So the number 1 mistake I see a lot of people make is they buy or shop for too small a tractor. Now, this is a never-ending journey. If you've got a 30 horse tractor, you probably want a 40 horse. I've got a 40 horse. I wouldn't mind having a 50 horse. It just seems like it never ends. And I always tell people, get the biggest tractor you can afford. And someday I'm going to have a viewer fighting mad with a 4-wheel drive articulated 425 horse tractor in their driveway, say this is too big, your advice was bad. Well, I guess there's exceptions, but if you're buying a small tractor, get as big a one as you can afford. I don't think you'll be sad. The second problem I see with this scenario today is the cab. You know, we talked about having enough power to power the cab, the air conditioner on the cab, and talked about is it even available on the size tractor we're looking at. But the other thing this viewer told me is they have a woods that they're going to be in a lot. And cab tractors and woods don't get along too well. It's great for the dealer. The dealer would love to sell you 5 cab tractors to go into timber because he gets to sell you cab glass. And it'll help him make a boat payment, but that's not good for you. So if you are going into a woods where you can trim up the lower limbs all through the woods, you can live with a cab tractor. But if you're going into an area that's kind of let grow up and you're going to be clearing it with your brush hog, that's not a good idea. So the number 2 thing is, I tell people, if you're thinking about getting a cab and you have allergies and you're out brush hogging all the time, most people need a cab. That's a good investment, because if you don't get the cab, you'll regret it later. But here's an exception. If you're going back in the woods, be careful with that cab, because it doesn't take much of a bump from a limb and you're buying a cab glass, and when the first one breaks, you'll think you're shot, because when they blow up, it makes a noise you won't forget, I promise you. Number 3 problem I see here today, again, kind of relates back to horsepower, and that is too big a cutter for the tractor. Generally, if you're shopping for a tractor, a small tractor, however big the front bucket is, that's what size cutter you'll want on the back. If you've got a 4-foot bucket on the front of the tractor, like most subcompacts have, a 4-foot cutter on the back is what you want. When you move up to like a 30 horse tractor, 28 to 30 horse tractor will have a 5-foot bucket on the front. You can have a 5-foot cutter on the back. Any bigger than that gets to the outer limit of what you can control. And you may be able to power it. You may want to cut a smaller area. In other words, you've got a 5-foot cutter, but you're only cutting 4 foot because you're overpowered. But the thing to remember, if you're going down a hill and you've got too much cutter pushing the tractor down, you can get in trouble pretty fast. So we kind of want to match the cutter to the tractor. So the 5 foot is, we're either going to, if we're going with subcompact, we want a 4 foot, or we want a bigger tractor with a 5 foot. The third problem I see is people don't match the size of the cutter to the size of the tractor and the size of material they'll cut. Every cutter is rated for the size of material it'll cut. So go out in your woods and find the biggest thing you think you can cut with that cutter and that tractor, measure the diameter of it at the base, and then match your cutter to that diameter. If you're thinking you'll take down 3-inch trees, that takes a pretty good cutter. 2-inch trees is what I have. It'll take down anything up to 2 inches, and the lighter grade cutters are usually up to 1 inch. The other thing you want to do is make sure that you have enough tractor PTO horsepower, not engine horsepower, but PTO horsepower to power the cutter. Every cutter will tell you you need X amount of horsepower to power it, and every tractor will have a PTO horsepower rating. Now you got to be real careful. When you're buying the tractor, on these smaller tractors, the salesperson will always tell you, I don't care what brand it is, it's a 40 horse tractor. That usually refers to engine horsepower. Find out what the PTO horsepower is. So if you put a cutter on the back of it or any PTO powered implement, you're going to need to know what the PTO horsepower is and match the PTO horsepower to the PTO requirements of the implement. The number 4 thing I see people do is they concentrate too much on brands. I get this all the time. What brand of tractor do I get, or what brand of cutter? Let's talk about what brand of cutter. Most of the cutter manufacturers make a light one, a medium one, heavy one, and maybe a super heavy one. And the light one generally will cut up to 1-inch material. The medium grade, which is what I own, will cut up to 2-inch material. A heavy one up to 3 and 4. I know there's one cutter out there that cuts 6-inch material. It's a monster. So I worry a lot less about the brand than I do what size will it cut. So I think too many people fixate on brands. I remember when I was working at the dealership, we took on a line of cutters. It was pretty cheaply made to compete with the farm stores that had the really, really cheap cutters. And we had a guy buy one of those and take it out and tear it up. And I was back in the shop with one of our better mechanics, and I was kind of saying, man, you know, I wish we hadn't taken on this line. And he looked at me and he said, Mike, if you or I bought this cutter, even though it's the cheapest one that we sell, it would have lasted us a lifetime. A lot of how long your cutter's going to last depends more on the guy in the tractor seat than it does on the brand of cutter. So remember that. If you're hard on equipment, go one step above what you think you'll cut and get a heavier one. Number 5 thing I see, and I'm going to tell you, when this viewer wrote me this letter, I so felt compassion for what he was going through. I'm the same way. Not doing research, getting in a hurry, and just buying something to get it out of the way. When I started this YouTube channel, I was so frustrated the first couple of years. I knew where I wanted to go with it, and I just wanted to get there, and I didn't understand the tech stuff and the intricacies of YouTube. I actually wanted to call YouTube and ask them, but you can't call YouTube. They don't pick up their phone. If they need you, they'll call you, but you can't call them. So I started watching a YouTube channel by a guy named Tim Schmoyer. It's called Video Creators. And if you have any idea that you might want to do a YouTube channel sometime, check Tim's channel out. I did everything he said. The information was great, but it took a couple of years to really get where I wanted to be, and it was frustrating that I had to wait that long. And I'm the same way when I'm buying anything like a car or anything. I get to a point, I just want to get it out of the way and get something bought, and you can get in trouble doing that. So when you're buying a tractor, guys, take the time to research it and watch my videos and get what you need the first time, because if you get the right thing the first time, you'll never have to do this again. This tractor could last you the rest of your life. So it's important not to get hasty right at the end in shopping for a tractor. So I'm working with a viewer. We'll try to get him fixed up and get him just what he wants, but it's important to match everything together and take the time to do the research. Appreciate you watching my videos. I survive on web traffic. I'd be honored if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the mic face icon and check the bell so you're notified when I post future videos. Here's a link to my website. I've got the videos I've done all organized by topic there. You might want to go there and check out the Tractor Fun store while you're there. Here's another video you might want to watch. Thanks for watching.